Hey, good afternoon, guys. It's Don Deal, and just wanted to follow up the email that I sent to you this morning, just with some instructions and reminders to hopefully make it a little simpler for you. So I'm just going to simply walk you through this email and the things that I'm asking you to do, because there are four assignments over the next month. I'd like for you to take one a week, and I think if you set aside, as we talked about the other day, 30 minutes sometime during the week. Maybe it'll be a little bit more than that, but 30 minutes or to 45 minutes to work on this. And in this case, it's going to be a little bit different. It's not just your own work. You're actually going to be connecting with someone else. And so this will be really good for you to learn a little bit about how to articulate and talk to somebody about what the disc style and method is about. And so I'm going to walk you through it. So the email, get a copy of the email. If you don't have it yet, go ahead and pause this, get a copy of that, and then bring that back. And I'll jump through that here in just a second, okay? All right, so there's four things. The first is this: sit down and explain the disc reading people concept to another manager. In other words, get one of those that was in the training, the five of you who are managers, sit down with one of them and simply take those two documents that I've shared with you in that email. One had to do with the words, the four words, and I can share my screen here real quickly with you. That it's right here, and I'll advance back up to where we started. And this is the slide that I'm talking about there. So you could use that and explain to that other manager just what the disc is all about, using those quadrants, using some of those words, that kind of a thing, expressing your own, what you've learned about yourself, whatever that would be. It shouldn't be any more than 3 minutes. You need to describe quickly in detail what you've learned, and that'd be great. Okay, so you'll use that. The second thing that you'll use is on down in this people reading document that we did the other day, is this worksheet, if I can get to it, right there. That worksheet right there that shows kind of how you go about discussing a little bit of this DISC concept. In other words, what some of the principles are, observable behavior that you see in other people, body language, and how you read those things, and the words you're listening for, all that kind of a thing. And then on the bottom, of course, it gives you those words that shows those gradients, because you know the four disc, D-I-S-C, but you know there actually are 12, which as I go back up to this slide right here, you remember that there are some that are an actual D, but there are some that could be an ID or it could be an IS, depending on where their own style pulls them and what you hear in them. So it's not a perfect science. You're just listening for things and trying to do the best you can. But in that assignment, you're simply explaining about yourself to that. And so they're asking these two questions, and you're writing down those answers. And the first is, what do these diagrams have to do with reading people? And explain that. And the second is, why is that important and critical as a Carnelian leader or a Carnelian manager? So talk about that together. And that shouldn't take more than 30 minutes for you to do that. But both of you take a chance to go and explain it. That way you get comfortable talking about it. Okay, so that's number one. Number two is a one-on-one interview with a team member. So somebody that is either on your team or somebody who is a team member at Carnelian, even if they don't directly report to you. Ask them if they would be willing to sit down. You have some things that you're learning that you would want to share with them, and have an individual conversation with them. And as always, record the answers to the questions that you're going to ask them, and then we'll be prepared to share that together as a group. So here's kind of what it what it says. Of course, schedule the one-on-one with that person, sit down, and then ask these four questions. Where do you see me in this disc diagram? In other words, me as your leader. I'm not going to tell you where I think I am. How do you see that in me? And explain those four on that diagram and those four quadrants, and just see what they say. Look at those words of description and say, well, Don, this sounds like you from what I've seen there. So give them a chance to do that. The second question is, what words in the disc model diagram do they believe describes them? Give them a chance to internalize that. Say, okay, you've kind of identified that for me, but what about you? Where would you put yourself? It's not perfect, but where would you put yourself in that category? See what they would say. The third question is, what part of their role, do they really enjoy? So you're trying to tie in what they enjoy, what they feel empowered to do, what it really kind of energizes them to their style. You're trying to help them to see, oh, this is who I am. That's why this energizes me. There are some things that maybe don't energize me. Doesn't mean you're doing the wrong thing. Doesn't mean you're not a good leader or a good team member. It just means all of us have places that we do well and are natural fits, and then some responsibilities that they're just not going to be that pleasing to us. But it's part of our assignment. It's part of what we have to do as leadership. So that's the third question. What part of your role at the Carnelian do you really enjoy? And then the second half of that is what part of your assignment do you find least enjoyable? And so give them a chance to answer that question. The last one is this: what one thing can I do to be a better leader and to encouragement to you? How can I be a better encourager to you? How can I be a better leader? And just give them a chance to that open-ended question. How would they respond to that? Okay. So that'd be fun. It'd be fun for you to do that. Record their answers, thank them for their input. Make sure you stay on time. Don't take any more than 20 minutes or so to do that interview with an individual. So if you do that twice, I'd say 15 minutes. If you do that with two people, is what I'm asking you to do. Record the notes from what they said, and then be prepared to share that when we all get together in June again. All right, so number one is explaining that with another manager. Number two is having two one-on-one conversations or interviews with those questions and record those. And then here's the third. The third is a Catalyst project. I want you to go to your Catalyst portal, which everything disk and Catalyst, and that's where we've been before. And when it comes up, it'll be your home page. I'm going to share my page with you so that you'll see and be reminded. So this is what mine looks like. And remember, yours will be there as well. Your name will be there. It'll give your style. And then there's a couple of things I want you to do. I want you to follow down with me and go through some things. And I'm gonna do it in my portal, so you'll see where to go. And so hopefully there won't be any confusion, and make sure that you get to the right place. So you go to your Catalyst first of all, and then follow the access to these parts of your Catalyst. So go to Management. So if you scroll down, you see this right here. Click on Management. And then what I want you to do is to go down. We've already talked about this a little bit, management overview and your style. You've talked about that a little bit. Direct and delete, I'm sorry, direct and delegate, we will work on in July and August. And so you don't need to do that. But this is where I want you to go right here, motivation. You'll see this tab. Click on that tab of motivation. And then when you get down here, you'll see some information about yourself, your effect on others. But here's the really cool thing. I want you to go into this area right here where you can bring up one person's name from your group and go ahead and click that box and put their name in there. Now, I don't have access to yours, so I'll just use my group. And I have a lady in mine named Cindy Johnson, and I'm going to pull that up so you'll see a real example. So this is what I want you to do is look at the description that is there for that person on your team. And then whatever their style is, Cindy's an S. So I'm going to go down here to the S and I'm going to click on that. If somebody's a D, you click on the D. It'll help you to see how do you interact with somebody who is a D. And we're gonna look at a couple of things, okay? And so this is what I want you to do. Choose that one team member and then take a minute to go down and look at these qualifications of that person, all right? And then answer these four questions. Looking at these descriptions for that person that you selected, which is one of their motivational needs? And so you see right here, their motivational needs. Cindy, my friend that I work with in the coaching network, I would find my answers here. That describes Cindy a little bit and what motivates her. The second question is, what Carnelian responsibility might demotivate them? Now, here is what might demotivate a person who is an S, which Cindy is. But what I'm trying to do is to say, well, which ones of the responsibilities at the Carnelian, what is it that people's jobs are or their job might be that might be demotivating? And I'm using this content to help me to see a place that might be a bit challenging for them. Does that make sense? So you're not really using an exact line from this, but this is teaching you what kinds of things might demotivate them, and then you're applying it to the Carnelian environment and how they work and what their role is. And so you would answer that question. And then here's the third. We would go down, and the third question is, how are they affected by conflict? read these bullet points here that would be for that person that you're talking about, and just describe what might some of the areas of challenge be for a conflict. How might they be affected by that? You'll see the answers right there, and just put it in your own words. And then the last assignment or last question is list two ways that you could help them find their natural areas of motivation. And so if you go down to the bottom, and right here it says creating a motivational environment. Read through those things right there, and there will be some descriptions even below that. And so this page right here would help you if they're an S, if they're, like I said, an I, a D, or a C, you'll be looking at a different combination. But answer those questions in your portal with your catalyst, and that'll be great. Okay, I'll stop sharing there. So now you see what to do in that capacity. So the last thing that I'm asking you to do, once again, remember, this is not all at one time. This is one 30 to 45-minute segment per week, just to keep it in front of you. And each one of these should be no more than 20 minutes. Really, that's what it should be. But it keeps you in front of you. The last thing I want you to do is go to your personal disk profile report that you received way back in the beginning, and it showed you a lot of information. And I sent you a copy in your email of one of your team, right? One of our managers is copy right from that page. But I want you to go to down, scroll down to the portion of that report that says how your manager sees you. In other words, your manager, as a manager of the Carnelian, would be the owners. And so Catherine and Jay and Adelaide, those that you work with, that's what I'm asking you to do. Go down and read through. What do you know, Catherine? What is she? She's a D. And so read in that D comparison. What are some of the things that you read about Catherine? Do it for Jay and for Adelaide as well. So that's what I wanted. That we won't report on that. That's just for your reading in week 4. So that's it. Those are the assignments. If you'll follow through on those, we'll report back together in June, and we'll have a good time doing that. And we'll get a date to you on that in June, and make sure everybody has it on your calendar. Okay, that's the assignment. Have a good time. Let me know if you have any questions. We'll talk to you soon. Have a great day.